Jess, I feel like this is like a graduation. We are on episode 7 of 7, talking about Maslow's mountain, talking about the mountain that we have been climbing for like the last, almost 2 months in
Mhm.
educational space. And though today we get to talk about a challenge that we watch coaches go through, and that is once they learn this process and they learn it in, let's say, the space of 1-to-1, and then they want to transition to a 1-to-many, or some people like to say group coaching, they forget it and they
Yeah.
get back on top of the mountain again and they just do it all over again. So today we're going to talk about how not to basically fall off the mountain. Why don't we say it that way? How not to fall off the mountain.
Yeah, I mean, really, truly for me, it's a now what or what's
Right.
next situation.
Hmm.
Because most people believe that when they are taught something and they're in the process of learning, it's almost like a checklist.
Yep.
And then once they put the last check mark on, it's like you forget everything you just learned. It's like
Hmm.
I did the thing that I needed to do in order to earn the check mark in the box. But then they don't turn around and reference that completed checklist over and over and over again, which is what you
Right.
should be doing in this space.
Yeah. This I love this series for many different reasons, though. Go back to episode 1 and listen to what really Maslow is again if you need clarity there, because this should resonate with you for the rest of time, right?
Yeah.
This should be when you are in your coaching space. Maslow should be with you at all times, whether that is you
Mhm.
launching a one-on-one or a one-to-many, whether that is you in a coaching space. I mean, sometimes even on coaching calls, Jess, I have to slow down to realize where the client is. But go back to number 1, the episode of this series, and just make sure that you have a real understanding on what that is, because we do have tendencies to transition now in our business from, okay, growth mode of one-on-one, checkbox done. I now can speak to that one-on-one coaching client in a Maslow way. And now I'm going to go into my one-to-many and I go right back to the mountaintop.
Yeah. I laugh because I think it's just one of those things that naturally happens. We talk about scope creep and telling
Mm,
people to create offers and not let the scope creep outside of the offer.
right.
But this is like language creep to me.
Yeah.
And so what we find is like people will do all of this work in the current space that they're in,
Hmm.
and they will internalize
Yeah.
the mountain, and they
And have
will
success.
understand
Hmm.
Maslow language and all of the things, and they make all this effort with wherever they are currently planted. So like you said, 1-to-1, 1-to-many, whatever. But then the second that they step outside of that space, it's like I said, they ignore the checklist, they forget everything they've learned, and they just go
Hmm.
back to like the old habits that die
Right.
hard. And
Right.
they let the language creep because maybe they're technically on a different mountain now. And it's
Hmm.
like, no, you have to do this every single time to
Hmm.
stay relevant, to stay relatable, to convert without sales.
Yeah. Well, we could take this in so many different directions because, as I mentioned, one-on-one, when you're in the coaching space, right? This is where Maslow is being used. When you're establishing and building your one-to-many, right? We call that the peers space. You got to understand how you're going to attract people into it. And episode number 2, which is the second most important one of this series, is the payoff. When you are transitioning from mountain to mountain, as Jess talked about there, you've got to understand that that payoff needs to be massively clear, aligned with the avatar, and resonate with them where they are on the Maslow mountain. And watch this one. Phase 4, Jess, is a whole nother mountain that when you are climbing that phase 4, when I say phase 4, I mean on our blueprint, that is when you are literally exposing yourself on different platforms, whether that's keynote speaking, podcasting, that you may make it the you show. And when you start to
Mhm.
make it the you show, you will get very aspirational in language. But if you can slow down and realize that even when you're giving a keynote speech, number 2 episode, which is payoff, keynote speech still has to have a payoff. It
Mhm.
still has to have something that the audience wants to listen to. But if you go up there and you're now creating even more exposure for yourself, more authority for yourself, and you're in the highest trust mechanism, which is a keynote speech or on a stage, And if you go up there with high Maslow, I'm on top of the mountain, aspirational type of language, wah, wah, you're going to lose the audience.
I find that such a fascinating thing in the keynote specifically speaking space, but it translates everywhere.
Mhm.
Is you don't have to look good and be right to gain authority. Your feet being on the stage already give you authority. And
100%.
so the people who get up on the stages and are like, I need to like wow them with my vocabulary or the
Mhm.
depth and breadth of the knowledge and data that I have, the more that you put out there, the more likely they are to quit listening and not pay attention.
That's right.
Like
Yeah.
less is truly more in this
Mhm.
instance. And so when you're trimming the fat and focusing on the less, you have to make sure that that less lands.
Yes.
And that's what we're talking about here with Maslow's hierarchy of needs and everything is being intentional with the small amount that you're putting forward being the best foot forward for you in terms of being able to connect.
Yeah. And that just that actually goes to episode number 3, the messaging, right? That is the
Mhm.
messaging, or that is the messaging problem, which we talked about in that episode, is next to the payoff. When you have that, when you have your messaging, and you realize now in which phase, again, I'm gonna keep using that language from our blueprint. Phase 2 is one-on-one, phase 3 is one-to-many, phase 4 is massively expanding your authority on different stages, whether that's book writing, whether that's keynoting, whether that's podcasting, whether that's guests on podcasting. You've got to realize that your messaging
Mhm.
has to be ideal for that avatar that is listening. And I loved what the brand we have a brand builder coach back in the day, and I love what she said about getting on podcasts. This was fascinating. I think we talked about it a little bit earlier today. Is podcasts are such a great platform as being a guest for you to go start to build your authority in other people's lanes, but also build your authority on a specific topic, as you talked about. And that's what she would always say is, hey, go on podcasts to work on your keynotes. And what
Mhm.
I've caught myself, Jess, and this is just me being transparent here, is I think now year to date, I've been on almost 30 podcasts as a guest, which is really kind of cool. Holy cow, was my messaging a cluster, you know what. When I got on there,
Mhm.
I was like, woohoo, I'm on top of the mountain. I get to share what I've done in successes. And I'm like, pause, 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 pause. That's not what we're doing. You're not doing that. You actually have to understand the messaging, the payoff, and the avatar that's listening to this. So you better do some research before you get on that podcast of who it is, what they're doing, so that you can show up and not be on top of that mountain.
Right. Well, that's such a huge piece of this as somebody is growing and let yet leveraging what we've taught them over the last 7 episodes is understanding where is your mountain actually living, like who's surrounding it, who's climbing it, who's guiding up it, and being intentional, like you said, researching so that your framework may stay the same, your payoff may stay the same, but you're speaking to the person who's currently at the base,
Right,
not who you're assuming is at the base.
right.
And I think that right there shows a level of thought and intentionality that most fast thinking, visionary people struggle with. And in the past, you would have needed team members to go do that research for you or things like that. Now, in today's world, you can get a summary in 5 minutes with AI.
Mm,
But building out the understanding of who you are, what you do, and having that payoff and that messaging and all of this language allows you to audit through your lens, not just give me a generic summary, but it's
mm.
like, hey, give me a summary that I can specifically speak to based on my positioning.
Yeah, that's
And
so good.
that is what will change the game for coaches who keep Maslow's mountain in mind.
So here's a pro tip. Pause us right now. Rewind what Jess just said. By the way, I don't think that we have rewinds anymore. Push the 10 minus backwards and go listen to what she said. Take those as prompts, right? Take those as prompts, go throw them into whatever AI agent you're using, and allow that to become a resource for yourself to prepare, right? To prepare. Because one thing that, Jess, we see consistently is coaches will step into this space, and because they're coming from a space that they realize they have great authority and will wing it. And winging it, you guys, is outside of the scope of what we call real, right? Real is relevant, experiential, authentic leadership. And that A right there is if you're winging it, you're not authentic, right? Sure, you're
Mhm.
shooting from the hip, but take Jess's language that she just shared, create prompts out of it, put that into your AI agent, whatever you're, please don't tell me you're still using ChatGPT, by the way. Put that into your AI agent and engage in preparation for the who's you're going to be in front of so that your language and your messaging can land at the right point, at the right spot of the mountain that they are on, not you are on.
That's so huge. I mean, if you got anything out of this 7-part series, like, that's it right there,
Mm,
is understand that this is not about you. I
mm-mm.
mean, truly, truly, it is so easy to get distracted by your excitement or
Mhm.
your, creative juices or whatever. But at the same time, none of this is about you. And
Right.
that's what it boils down to is having an awareness of you, but creating messaging, language, payoff, you know, offers, whatever it is for the people that you're looking to serve
That's right.
and knowing what they need.
Mhm,
And that's why
mhm.
you said earlier something about it's not for you, and I was laughing because I was like, it's called YouTube, if you're watching this. And yet it's not about you. It's you putting
Mhm,
yourself out there and like shifting
mhm,
that perspective when it comes to putting yourself out there is so powerful
mhm,
because it's not meant to be performative. It's meant to be
mhm.
connective.
Right. Well, and that is so good too, because you have to identify you being the coach.
Hmm.
Do you want to be performative? Right? Because a lot of us, again, I'm raising my hand. Back in the day with the social media world, we would perform, right? You get on there and you'd want it to be about you. You'd want it to be, look at the blueprint I have created, right? You'd want it to be about you. And with maturity and with understanding of this industry comes, it can be from you, though it's not for you. And at the same time, you need to realize that everything that you're doing in this space, as Jess and I are showing you through 7 episodes right here, this is about you, right? This is about you, the listener. This is about you, the watcher. This is about you who are building. We know who our avatar is, who are building coaching businesses. And the moment you step into a performative state, you're making it about yourself and you're probably getting way up on that mountaintop.
Mhm.
And people are like, oh, that was cute, but not really for me. Or just the other thing that we see is, which is what really social media is about, is they try to be entertaining, right? And we talk
Mhm.
about this all the time. Are you trying to be someone of value add, or are you trying to be someone that is an influencer? And
Mhm.
you do have to understand between those two characters which one you're trying to be, because again, the influencer, they can add some value, but the influencer's making it about them for entertainment's sake, right? They're
Mhm.
jumping off bridges. They're playing with kitty cats, right? Well, whatever.
Well, their focus is a vanity metric. How many followers do I have or how many
Sure.
likes do I have? So to
Hmm.
me, it's more about influencer versus like educator. And the educator is how many people raised their hand and said, that helped me and I want
Right.
more.
Hmm. Yeah.
So are you influencing or are you educating? And neither of those should be um, like your only focus by any means.
Sure.
Because I think that naturally when you choose heavy on one side, you get distracted by that as well and you take it on as an
Mhm.
identity rather than
Yeah.
somebody who's owning their outcome and being intentional with sharing it in a way that could be entertaining, but
Yeah.
it's not their sole focus.
Right. And a great example of that, this is not a knock. This is truly an incredible feat. Mr. Beast hit 500 million, right? 500 million viewers and engaged of his entertainment content, right? Entertainment content. And
Mhm.
that's really cool. Though when you think about what he does, he is entertaining in his space. And we're talking about educating, right? We're talking
Yeah.
about educating that is specific to whatever problem solution cycle you have to offer. That's what we are talking about in this series. This whole 7 series podcast shows that we've been doing here this is all about educating for your avatar.
Mhm.
Yep.
100%.
Cool. All right, Jess, this was fun. This 7-part series of Maslow's mountain, from Maslow, what is it, to the payoff, to the messaging problem, to the marketing that will work without you. That's episode 4. Episode 5 was the avatar problem. Last episode that we just had was proof that it works. And now we are educating you on paying attention as you shift to different mountains, making sure that you still understand the first 6 episodes here. Cool.
That's it. Yeah.
Jess, anything else to add? This was good.
No, I mean, really, that is the gist of it, is it's not difficult. It's just something that you have to go back to consistently.
Mhm.
And so it is not a one and done situation.
Right.
And when you can internalize the process, internalize the mountain, and create some sort of system of checks and balances for yourself to
Yep.
audit what you're doing and what you're saying against it,
Yep.
I think it's going to make things a lot easier for you. So
Yep.
if you're building a slide deck for a presentation that you're giving in person, run it against Maslow's hierarchy of needs based on your avatar and see where it lands. Is it too
Mhm.
much at the top of the mountain, or is the messaging right? If you're
Mhm.
creating ad copy or a funnel, it's the same thing. Run it against the mountain. Figure out where the messaging lands. You know, you and I have used StoryBrand and Hero on a Mission, Donald Miller books, as filters for ourselves
Right.
of, are we showing up as heroes or guides, right?
Mhm.
Are we showing up as victims or heroes? All of that kind of stuff. And I think that using Maslow's hierarchy of needs is just another great filter that you as a coach or individual can use to
Yeah.
audit what you're doing in the moment and not feel like you have to master all of it, but at least have awareness around it enough to do that
Mhm.
check.
Yep. Yep. That's really, really good. All right, let's land this plane, Jess. We're good. This was a good one.
Well, hey, if you are somebody that is building a coaching business, has a coaching business, or would like to start one, we have some resources over at ilovecoachingco.com for people no matter where they are in their coaching journey. We've got free PDFs, we've got events that are live and in person as well as virtual, and we would love to have you join us. So, ilovecoachingco.com, find us out there.
Yep. Go play, go hang, and we'll see you next time. See ya. Bye.
Bye.